Hey, you guys, coming back with another video. Oh, jeez. Okay, here we go. Get this here set up. Okay. Oh. Hello, you guys. This is Fabio coming back with another video. So, I'm just up, at my site, having a little conversation with Jasmine, the assistant, and we were just talking about something, and it was something that she had brought to my attention that I had just started not too long ago. It was just something that I wanted to test out, and this is something that I think that you guys could do as well. Whether you be the seller or whether you be the purchaser, okay. And I'm pretty sure I didn't come up with the idea, but when I started thinking about it, it was a brilliant idea for me, and it's like another division of my business, like another division of what I do, right? So, hold on one second. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So, here's what I want to talk about. I call it my find and sell philosophy. Okay, and like I say, I'm probably not the only one that try this out. It's like another division of what I do, and a lot of times people ask me. Well, it's kind of two questions that people ask me a lot of times. The two questions are: one, they'll ask me how to get contracts, right? That's like the main question that everybody asks me. And two, people will ask me, do I have any contracts for sale, right? So it's generally a lot of times one or the other. People ask me, how to get contracts on one hand, or they ask me, do I have any contracts for sale? So I really wasn't sure that I wanted to kind of talk about this. This was something that I really wanted to kind of keep in house and not so much talk about on the videos. But I was talking to Jasmine about it, and she was like, I think it's something that your subscribers would like to hear. It might be something that they'll be able to implement. If you have the same mindset, with this philosophy or with this situation as you do with the cleaning industry as a whole, as far as you would never be able to monopolize it, you never have all the contracts. That this might be able to help somebody out that's just starting out, right? So I said, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. And I'm like, okay, I think I'll go live. I think I'll talk about it. Okay. So I think this is a fantastic way for those that um, want to make money in the commercial cleaning business, but not necessarily be a part of the commercial cleaning business. Okay, and the way you do that is, and it kind of looked like a franchisee type of thing, like being franchise and that type of thing. But it's that with a little twist. Okay, so here's the thing. What I've tried, I guess, over the last 90 days is get contracts, right, and flip. I get them for free, and I flip them for a profit, almost like how you do real estate. So, well, Fabio, what are you talking about? Okay, so I tried this idea out a few times, right? Got a few contracts. I'm always getting franchisers calling me or franchisees calling me. I'm always getting independent people emailing me and people trying to see if I have any contracts for sale, right? So I tried this thing out. Like I say, I really wasn't going to talk about it on video. I was kind of pressed to do it. Thanks to Jasmine, my assistant, that helped me out on the emails, who you hear me talk about a lot. And I like to think that I'm pretty decent at getting contracts, right? I don't get everything, whether it's a phone, a cold calling, or lead generation, or whether it's door knocking, or whether it's flyers or postcards, or whatever the case is. I don't get everything, but I like to think I'm pretty decent at it. Now, here's my philosophy in even picking up contracts, guys. Okay, and this is why I'm so ferocious and I'm so aggressive with the approach. The thing is that when I go in to pick up contracts, I give myself a quota, right? Whether it's 2 contracts a month or it's 1 contract a month, I would like to be able to pick up at least 1 contract a month. That's 12 contracts a year. Okay. Now, it's not about the number of contracts that I'm concerned about. Okay. It's what that contract is worth to me, right? What did I bid on that contract? What was my estimate on that contract? So it all boils down to the numbers, to the actual numbers, and not so much the quantity, right? Or how many contracts you have. Because you can have 20 contracts and not make as nearly as much as somebody that has 10 contracts, right? So it's not about the number of contracts you have, it's what you're getting per contract, okay? So this stuff all ties in. So like I said, I was talking to Jasmine, and over the last 90 days or 3 months, I, attempted this type of situation. I'd say, well, let me give this a shot. So I solicit personally myself. Now I have a team that kind of help me out with the lead generation, that type of thing, right? So I don't so much solicit myself anymore, but I just wanted to kind of try this out. So the goal was for me to get a contract, solicit, go door knocking, or however I decide to acquire that particular contract. I get it through sweat equity, right? I don't put up any money to get it, like kind of how maybe some people would do for real estate. I don't put up any money to get it. So I get this contract, I get it under agreement with the client, and I take this agreement or take this contract and I sell it off to somebody that's looking to buy commercial cleaning accounts. Okay, so it's a unique way to do it. It's not a whole hell of a lot of paperwork that needs to be done, but a certain paperwork that you need to make this transaction to make sure everything goes the way it's supposed to go. Now, and it has worked for me. It has worked, which is why Jasmine thought it would be a brilliant topic, a brilliant thing to talk about. Like I said, I wasn't going to talk about it at all. I was going to kind of keep that in house. I kind of like the way it works. The object of the game is for this is it puts you in the commercial cleaning realm, but not necessarily a part of the commercial cleaning realm. Okay, so here it is. You go out, you look for contracts, you get those contracts, you bid on them, whatever the case is. You do your walkthrough, you put it under the agreement. Initially, obviously, you're going to have to start that contract, right? But the goal for that particular contract, if you're using this tactic, is to flip that contract or sell that contract off to somebody that might want to purchase it. Okay, so you know how much you're going to make on that contract already. Okay, so you will want to mark that contract up, right? You'll mark that contract up, you will sell it to somebody, and they can pay you on the front end, pay you all of the money, whatever you're selling it for. So let's just use $1,000. We can just for just low purposes. Okay, we use $1,000. Okay, now let's say you're making $500 on this particular account. You're making $500 on this account, but you're selling it for $1,000. So you got a $500 profit, right? Because you're making $500 on it, you sell it for $1,000, you got a $500 profit. Okay. Now let's say that somebody want to buy this contract from you, right? They want to kind of get in the door. They want to get their feet in the door. You don't mind selling this particular contract. You let them know, hey, it's a $500 contract, this and this and that. That's how much it's going for. You can ask them for an upfront cut, an upfront portion of that, and then you can work the back end of it out. They can finance the back end. Okay, so this is a little kind of a little different than like how our franchise would somewhat operate. Got some similarities, but it's a little different. Once they finance the back end of that particular agreement, that particular contract, then that contract is theirs, free and clear. Okay, they can sell it down the line, they can build it, they can do whatever they want. Again, it's the way it's worded in the paperwork, but they can do however they want with that particular contract. Okay, so this is a tactic that I use, like I say, over the last 90 days. It's something that I kept in house. I didn't really want to do a video, but like I say, thanks to Jasmine, she kind of pressed me to kind of get this out. She said, "Well, Fabio, you'll never be able to do all of this stuff all by yourself. The industry's so huge. Like you always say in your videos, you're not able to monopolize the industry, right? And there's probably other people out there doing it. But again, I'm a think outside of the box type of guy, right? So once again, as I said in the very beginning of this live, it's two questions people ask me. One, Fabio, how do you get contracts? Two, Fabio, do you have any contracts you want to sell or get rid of? Okay, so I explained one on a lot of different videos, so you guys know how to go about to get contracts, right? But two, most of the time I tell people, well, I don't have any contracts I'm selling, right? I don't have any contracts I'm selling. Before I started this division of my company, right? So this is where, once again, this is, I'm sorry, this is something that I kind of thought up, right? And I say, well, I think it'd be a good thing. I did the lead generation, right? When I first started doing my videos, people were like, Fabio, how do you get your contracts? How do you get most of your contracts? And I tell them, hey, I use the phone, so I go by phone, right? And people was like, well, I do the same thing, but I wasn't able to get the traction. I wasn't able to get those calls. Like, what are you say? What's your script? What do you say? So then that's how the lead generation was developed, right? Where you guys submit the leads in to me. My people call the leads. We use our in-house script. We call the leads and we set up the appointments. That's all we do. We don't actually get you into the contract. Now, for no additional fee, what I would normally do is once people do the walkthroughs and they say, well, Fabio, I did the walkthrough. They want me to do an estimate. If you never did an estimate before, you probably wouldn't know how to do an estimate, right? So then I would tell them, okay, well, since you're in the lead generation, come back. Once I help you maybe 2 or 3 times to show you how to do an estimate, would we agree that you would know how to do the estimate once I show you how to do it? Okay. So once that happened and I started doing it and I say, wow, here it is. I'm helping people, make a lot of money with this lead generation stuff. I'm charging an upfront of $300 for that. And then I'm not asking for anything on the back end. So when other companies like mine would probably ask you for a percentage on the back end, right? They ask you for anywhere to 3 to 5%. So I said, wow, this is a fantastic thing. And then it started hitting with people in all points of the country. Okay, so then I came up with this thing, where I call it the define a sell philosophy, right? You find a contract, like I say, it's much like you do on real estate. You find the contract, right? You negotiate whatever it is, the money, and you do the walkthrough, that type of thing, right? You put it under your agreement. Initially, our company will have to start that contract, right? So then when somebody contact me or when we put it out to sell, then somebody, once again, they can pay the upfront cost of it. So let's take the example that I use once again. Let's say I'm getting paid $500 on this contract. And then I sell that contract for $1,000, right? So I made a $500 profit on that contract. So for an example, let's say a person say, well, Fabio, I don't have $1,000 to buy it outright. Then you can set up a upfront fee. They pay a upfront fee, like a down payment, kind of how you will finance a car, pay a down payment on it, and then they go ahead and you negotiate the back end of it. So month after month, as that check come in, they'll give you certain increments or certain dollar amounts until that contract is paid off. Once it's paid off, it's theirs free and clear, right? So no one can take that from them. They can flip it later on down the line. They can, do whatever they want to do with it at that point because it's their contract. So again, I tried that over the last 90 days and I had some success with it. And again, that's where I just kind of go out. I solicit my own and I go out and I kind of set it up and I say, well, you know what? I'm gonna throw my hand at this. I feel like I mastered the lead generation program. I feel like I'm a master at that. I figure like I totally understand the notion of getting leads and getting appointments to go in the door to do it. I feel like I understand that. So I said, at the very least, let me try this other situation. And not, like I said, I'm probably not the only one that's done this or thought this up. I feel like I was on to something, and I kind of just took like the real estate model or and the car dealership type of model, and I just applied it to commercial cleaning, where I just kind of go out, we get the contract, get it with the notion that we're gonna sell it right to somebody that might want to buy a contract. And I only came up with that because, like I say, a lot of times people will ask me one or two questions. Fabio, how do you get contracts? And Fabio, do you have any contracts that you would want to sell? Like if they're local to me or if they're in a market that I'm in, they'll ask me, do you have any contracts that you want to get rid of? Right? So I think this is a fantastic thing. If you're definitely in the Detroit or Michigan market, you can if you're in Michigan, I got different parts of Michigan. If you're in Michigan and you're interested in certain contracts, if I have any contracts in your area or contracts period that you feel like you might want to buy, then we can talk the business out and we can negotiate and go through the paperwork. Again, if you don't have the fee up front, then I'm willing to finance it. You're gonna do a down payment on it, and then we negotiate the back end of it, right? We'll finance the back end. If you have the fee up front, you have all of the monies, then you go ahead, you can just purchase this, pretty much this agreement, this contract from me, and then you'll own it free and clear. It'll be yours. I don't eat off the back end of it, right? You whatever monies come in from it, it'll be your money, right? So that's the ideal of that. If you guys interested, you guys know I do operate in Michigan, I operate in Ohio, Toledo to be specific. I do operate in Georgia, right? I took the same philosophy when I sold to a franchise in VA, right? So I was in Portsmouth and in Virginia Beach, had contracts out of there. I left the area. I sold it to a franchise there. They paid it a big check on the front end, and then they financed the back end, right? So it's pretty much the same philosophy. It's just I was approached, and it was a good deal on the table, so I took that deal, right? So it wasn't like that's what I was meaning to do, right? So, but that could work in you guys every day. Like if you're a salesperson or you feel like you're pretty good at getting contracts, if you're a seasoned commercial cleaner person and you might be watching this video, you can kind of consider that, right? You can set the deal up however you want to set it up. If you want to just set it up where you just kind of leasing it out to them, if you want to set it up where you're just going to make money on the back end of it, then you can set it up that way. Me particular, I'm not a selfish individual, in that regard. So if money is a factor and they don't have all the funds up front, I'm willing to take a down payment and then they finance the rest of the deal out right until it's paid off. Or if they have all of the money up front, we can go ahead, put it out there, we do the paperwork behind it, and then it's theirs, free and clear, right? So again, like I said, you guys can utilize that when you do purchase contracts from people. That is a way to get your foot in the door. You do want to make sure, even if you're purchasing through me, you want to ask certain questions. You want to make sure that you're investing in a pretty decent deal, right? You want to make sure you want to ask certain questions. Okay, you don't want to kind of just go in blinded just because someone says they have a contract that they'll sell you. You don't want to just go in and just be purchasing up a lot of different contracts, because you might be purchasing a headache, and that's a headache you can't give back, right? Once you purchase the deal, you might not, you can't get out of that deal. You'll have to, the only thing you have to do is give it up, which means you lose money both ways, right? You lose the monthly residual that come behind it, and then you lost the money that you put up to purchase it, right? So you do want to ask questions about any contract that you decide to buy. It's always people out here that's offering contracts and selling contracts, that type of thing. You do want to make sure you understand the back end. Why are they selling? The reason for them selling. You want to make sure it's within your location, driving wise. You don't want to just purchase it because it's a good deal, but then it's hard for you to get to, right? It really doesn't make any sense at that point. Okay. So again, guys, like, this is a great deal. This is a great tactic that you guys could use for all my people that's, have that salesman type mindset. You can actually go out canvas the areas, get agreements, right? You can either get them and hold them, right, and just start up your own commercial cleaning business, or, and this is a lot for my seasonal people, like people that's actually got contracts, people that's pretty knowledgeable about how to go about to get contracts that might be watching this video. A lot of times you guys don't have to put up, like I say, with the headache. Like, you can get an agreement, right? You're going to initially start that agreement, obviously, but the objective for you, or the whole thing for you, is to sell that agreement to somebody else, right? You sell it to somebody that might want to buy a contract. You get under contract with them, you sell them that agreement, they take it over, they can pay you all of the money up front, or you can take a down payment on it and then they finance the back end. Okay, again, I think that's a sweet deal to go. That puts you in the commercial cleaning realm without being in the cleaning realm, right? All you're doing is like finding the deals, you putting them under an agreement, so to speak. You started off, of course, right? You started off cleaning, and then you put it out there to be sold, right? Or to be bought from somebody that might want to purchase a contract. Okay, so like I said, I think that's a fantastic deal. That's something that I started over the last 90 days. I really wasn't gonna so much share it on YouTube. I was talking to Jasmine about it, and she was like, "Yeah, I think that's a good deal. I think it's a good idea. You could share it because it might be people out there like yourself that's pretty decent at getting contracts. I like to think I'm pretty decent at getting contracts, and they might will want to know how they can do, what you do, the same thing what you do. So, guys, it's a lot of money to be made out here. Um, Whether it's window cleaning, carpet cleaning, floor care, commercial, residential, power washing. I mean, there's different niches within the cleaning industry. And the industry as a whole is a $50 billion a year industry, probably a little bit more than that, right? So there's definitely money that can be made, but you don't always have to necessarily go that traditional way as far as finding the contract, holding it, and you're cleaning and then the residuals from it. You can actually acquire the contract. You put it under an agreement, obviously, between you and that party, you and that client. You're going to start that contract off, or start that customer off in terms of the cleaning. So you're going to get the residuals from it, and then you just put it out there for somebody to buy it. You kind of market it, put it out there. Hey, if you're looking to buy contracts, hit me up at 1-800 buy contracts, whatever the case is, right? And then when the phones start ringing, you can do this in maybe different parts of the country, as long as you're able to cover that. I would say start locally if you're going to do it, and you feel like you're pretty good at getting agreements. Do it locally, right? And then as you branch out, like me, I operate in Michigan, operate in Ohio, operate in Georgia, and you guys know about my VA situation, right? So if I was going to do it, and I was going to do it full throttle, it only makes sense for me to do it in Michigan, Ohio, and Georgia. I mean, I have Indiana and this and Illinois, right? Have a situation that I set up that took me to those areas, but I wouldn't necessarily say I operate out of those areas, right? I just have a big deal that kind of led me to those areas. Okay, so like I said, guys, I think it's a phenomenal thing. If you guys want to purchase any agreements from me, in terms of, when I say agreements, not necessarily my agreement, but I'm saying contracts maybe. If you guys want to purchase any contracts from me, and you within the Toledo, Ohio region, you're in the Michigan region, you're in the Georgia region, definitely get back with me. If I have something in any region and I have it for sale, I'll be more than willing, again, to negotiate something with you. Um, if you have what I will be asking for on the front end, then you can do it as a cash out deal. If you don't, then we can take a down payment and finance the back end out until it's fully paid. Once it's fully paid, that agreement is fully yours, or the contract is fully yours. Okay, so I think it's a phenomenal way. Whether you guys want to purchase from me, um, or whether you guys want to use this tactic as a way to kind of break in without necessarily being a part of it, without necessarily have to do the cleaning part of it. Okay. Again, I'm sure I'm not the first one that thought about this or that thought this up. is, again, I'm a thinker, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I always look for different ways to kind of conquer certain things, right? To build revenue, right? To enhance the revenue stream. So that's a way that I decided to do it. I guess you guys have Jasmine to think behind that, because I really wasn't going to talk about it. I thought it was a nice way to kind of enter the business without necessarily having the headache of it, right? Without necessarily just dealing with it. The whole reason for doing this particular part of the business, I'm sorry, is you get in, you work at it a little bit, and then you flip it. That'll be the goal in this particular example. You get it, put it under an agreement or a contract, whatever word you want to use, and then the objective for you is just to sell it off. Okay. Anybody can do that. You don't deal with the headaches, yet you still making the money from it. The only thing is you have to stay. You don't have that residual coming in, so you will have to stay in the market looking for new contracts to sell to a third party. But if the deal is big enough, then it'll be able to feed you well, right? Depending on how you negotiate that particular deal. Or you can get the deal and you can hold it for 3 months, right? Like kind of like how people hold real estate. You can sit on it, hold it for 3 to 6 months, build that residual up behind it, and then put it out there to sell. That way you then build revenue coming in from that particular agreement, and then you then sold it off. But what I'm talking about specifically is what I've tried to do is get it, put it under an agreement under contract for a certain dollar amount. So for an example, we using $1,000 example. So let's say I have a contract, it's $500. That's what it pays a month. I decided I wanted to sell it for $1,000. That's a $500 profit. If they have the whole $1,000, then they can just buy it outright. If they don't have the whole $1,000, then we can put it under an agreement where they could put a significant amount down, and then they can finance the back end to that $1,000 is paid off. Okay, it's a beautiful win-win situation when it's worked properly. So that's what I wanted to do this video about. If you guys want to contact me in regards to contracts, in regards to coaching, in regards to paperwork, or you want to just buy, some contracts from me in terms of actual sites, contracts, not necessarily paperwork, then you guys know how to reach me. bookfabiohart@gmail.com. That's bookfabiohart@gmail.com. I'm Fabio Hart, the only person that can ever stop you from starting up your own dreams and making it to the top. It's you. Take care.